Here we are with another in the San Francisco build series. This is part 8, covering the 5-inch and 40mm anti-aircraft guns. If I remember correctly, the 40mm Bofors was the only weapon used by both the Axis and the Allies during World War II. If I remember right, the Russians used it, the Japanese used it, the Italians used it, the British used it, and the US used it. Here we have the bases of the 5-inch guns going together. And if you ever wanted a way to put yourself to sleep, think about making all the millions of little guns on the Yamato. I can't imagine anything duller than that. And then we got a bunch of detail pieces coming out here that will end up being part of the 5-inch guns. And that's what the bases look like with the breech mechanism on it. Thought it came out decently. They're still really tiny. There's a total of 8 of these on the San Francisco. And at this point, I'm building the rest of the breech mechanisms. I decided it wasn't worth trying to go through and using the barrels that they provided, so I built my own out of toothpicks. They got shaped and sanded and cut to size. As you can see, all the little barrels are there, going onto the breech mechanisms, and that turned into that. Then we've got more detailed parts and the breech and barrel going on to each one of the mounts. There's probably 30 parts that go into each one of these, which is really annoying and really, really tiny. And they came out looking like this, which looks pretty decent. And then a bunch of railings go onto them and a few more detail pieces. And we end up with them looking like this when they're all said and done, which I think looks pretty good. And next up come the bases and the platforms for the 6 40mm quad Bofors. Here are the pintles for each one. I wasn't going to try to make them double-sided, or pardon me, to put 2 sides together, so I just painted the back side so that it matched properly. And there's a bunch of detail pieces that go on the front and sides of each one of the pintles. I guess technically they're mounts, not pintles. And that's what the mounts for each pair look like. And then all of those end up going onto the mounts proper, along with a whole lot of little detail parts as well. Martini time. And I just ended up carving the breech mechanisms out of balsa because that was a lot simpler. Then again, using toothpicks whittled down and shaped to look like the barrels. Wrap the back end with thread to look like springs, and paint, cut, and trimmed appropriately. And they go on the breech mechanism. There's one of the pairs. Then with the loading trays on top. Then all of these come together. There's 6 of them, 6 quads. That's getting close. And then railings go on to make them look a little more legit and to add some depth to them. And here are both sets of AA guns. And then they all get stuck on there. This is the starboard side, if I remember correctly. Here's the one on the rear superstructure, the one on the aft of the ship. Well, actually, technically two of them. And the port side. And the last one on the port side, rear superstructure. Some beauty shots, and I think they did come out looking pretty good. The next video is going to be the 26 20mm Oerlikons, which go all over the place. But those are going to be extremely repetitive. I would not be surprised if it takes me a number of weeks to actually complete all 26 of them. And then it'll be a relatively short video, which you're only going to want to see it once. You're not going to care about it 26 times. Enjoy!